1701. It is the age of absolutism, where monarchs hold total control, where new empires are being formed, and where the borders are expanding in the new and the old world. Let's have a look. Let's zoom in on England, where we can see that the ruler is Prince William III van Oranje, which means of orange. And that should be a connection to the Netherlands. When we zoom out, we can see that they have colonies. They have Newfoundland and the 13 colonies, which we will look at after we are done with Europe. Scotland is its own nation, but it is in a personal union with England. And because England is at war with France, Scotland is also at war with France. But in the previous couple of hundred years, Scotland was always allied to France. And because of the personal union, England will hold the whole British Isles and eventually become Great Britain. We can press R and see the current wars. It is France, Spain, Bavaria, and some other minor nations against Austria, Prussia, the Netherlands, England, and Scotland. The war also is waged in the New World, and you can see the immense power that Spain had in this age. The reason for this war is, let us see, the War of the Spanish Succession. So the former king of Spain died and left Spain and its empire to King Felipe V de Bourbon. And basically, England, Austria, Prussia, and other powers said, that is too much. France would have too much power in Europe. So the war started. And if we take a look at the ledger, let me see, relations, current wars, we can see which countries are waging war for the Spanish succession. So it's Austria, England, Scotland, the Netherlands, Connecticut, Prussia, Hanover, Lorraine, Newfoundland, and the 13 colonies against France, Bavaria, Cologne, Spain, Portugal, Gilva, Mutapa, Malindi. Here we have Savoy, French colonial nations, Portuguese colonial nations, and Spanish colonial nations. There is also a great Nordic war, which is Russia, Zaporozhye, Commonwealth, Kurland, Saxony against Sweden. So it's Russia, Commonwealth, and some others against Sweden. Here we can see that Spain is in the Netherlands already, and this, I think, is part of the 8-year war which the Netherlands had against Spain for its own independence. And the Netherlands is in a personal union with England, but there was no clear winner in this this war eventually. And France didn't rule, at least wasn't in a union with Spain. Let me see, they did have French, Canada. So, hence the reason why a lot of Canadians also speak French. Greenland wasn't colonized yet in 1701, which I find remarkable. After France, of course, we have Spain, which held like the boot of Italy, some parts like current day Milan. They held Sardinia, a big chunk of northern Morocco. They had lands in current day Belgium, and of course a super large colony which we will look at when we are at the Americas. And yeah, here you can see all the colonies that they had, which is like New Spain, New Granada, Spanish Peru, Spanish La Plata, Florida, Spanish California, Isla Ruana. After Spain, we got Portugal, who actually started the colonization game, but in this age weren't as strong as they were before, and only had Portuguese in Brazil. I think they had also some land in India. Yes, here it is. They had lands in India and other nations also. And do they hold it here also? Yes, and Macau also had a small piece of land in current day China. So, if we look at the Scandinavian nations, we can see that Denmark is actually pretty small, and they had some disconnected lands over here. But there was this Holstein, Schleswig-Holstein, which was an independent county. And let's take a look at the soldiers. Scotland is very nice with the kilt that they have, and of course they had muskets or guns and gunpowder, of course, in this age. Here we have the redcoats, the English redcoats, a very popular army. Here we have the French with the blue jackets, the Spanish with the yellow ones, the Dutch, and of course Germans. But yeah, Denmark didn't own a lot in its current or previous borders, but they did hold Norway. But Sweden was independent of Norway and actually pretty strong, and was ruled by King Carl VII von Wittelsbach. And when we take a look at the religion map mode, if I can see diplomatic, dynastic, where here is religion, we can see for hundreds of years Catholicism ruled almost all of Europe. But the Reformation age happened. Actually, it happened a long time before 1701. there was also wars being fought for it. But as you can see, there are Protestants and a Reformed nation that spawned because of it. And Sweden is at war with Russia and the Commonwealth, and I cannot imagine them winning with a pretty small army and no allies against the Commonwealth and Russia. When we zoom in on current day Germany, or better yet, when we zoom out, we can see that what eventually will form Germany, and that is Prussia, is not that strong yet, and is ruled by Friedrich I von Hohenzollern. And years down the line there will be a war between Prussia and Austria for the, how should I say, the hegemony or the ruling of Germany, in which Prussia would almost get the whole northern part of Germany and become immensely strong. We got Bavaria, which is now again a kingdom. So a lot of things had changed in the past, in the history of Germany, from being a German kingdom to being a Holy Roman Empire and being dukes and counts, to being kings again, and the abolition of the Holy Roman Empire, while it does still exist over here, and it will take another approximately 150 years before a very well-known French guy basically disbands the HRE. Of course, we got the Netherlands, we got Münster, Switzerland, we got 3 leagues over here. We got Savoy, Venice still standing strong and still having a serene doge as being a serene republic. They're not very strong militarily. Boat-wise, they are, of course, because it was a trading nation and one of the best in making boats, actually. We got Genoa, Tuscany, Lucca, and like the Papal State. I think this was when it was at its strongest, at least with the most lands. They also hold this piece of land over here. But when we zoom out, the Pope holds like almost 1/3 of Italy. If you look at Spain having the lower third, the upper third is like all different pieces, and like the middle held by the Pope except for Tuscany. Here we got the Commonwealth, which is actually a combination of Poland and Lithuania, and they were stronger or held larger territory, but I guess in this timeline they lost some land to Russia, and they are at war with Sweden, and Russia is actually they are defender against Russia, and so they are the defender against Russia. I guess this is where Russia took the Baltic area and probably parts of Finland, but I'm not completely sure. I don't know why Commonwealth is in that war against them, because they are, when I look at the game, not allied to Russia. So I guess this is something they programmed programmed in. We have Moldavia, which is a vassal under the Ottomans. Crimea is a march under the Ottomans. We have Zaporozhye, which is a vassal under the Russians. We got Montenegro, and we have Ragusa in Europe. So, Circassia is still a thing. Here we have Gazikumuk, Georgia, and Imereti. The Ottomans have expanded a lot, but this is the age of the Ottoman decline, I guess, because they held even more lands over here. And it's ruled by Padishah Mustafa II Osmanoglu. They have a large army, but the military level is 20, while the rest of Europe is even 22. So that's a great disadvantage. The Janissaries aren't what they used to be. When we zoom out, we can see that Russia is extremely large. They still have some colonization going on here. They are not yet in Alaska, and these small nations or tribes are still a thing. Here we have Kazakh, ruled by Khan Tauke, Gergishid, Gengishid. They're not that strong, but compared to their neighbors, they are pretty okay-ish. I think the Kazakh nation used to be all the way over here. We have Khiva, Bukhara, and something I've never heard about, Dzungar. While they are pretty strong, and they are Vajrayana. Okay. Russia is ruled by Tsar Pyotr Veliki Romanov, and Tsar Pyotr. Pyotr is in English Peter, and Veliki means great. So Tsar Peter Great Romanov. We got the Ottomans still in the Balkans, in current day Turkey, in the Middle East, controlling modern day Jerusalem, Syria, Iraq, and of course Egypt, and parts of modern day Arabia. Arabia itself is still shattered and not one thing. And what is crazy, and this is probably the reason why there are a lot of Shia Muslims in Saudi Arabia, is because Persia, which is okay-ish, strong, and ruled by Shah Sultan Hussein Safavid, actually had some lands over here. So in Qatar, in Bahrain, Zufra, Baniyas, Liva. So I understand why there is a lot of tension years down the line. There are some smallish Ardalan, I think they are Kurdish. Ardalan Sheikh them. They're actually a vassal of Persia, but I know for a fact that this is a Kurdish flag. Culture. Okay, yeah, Kurdish. Here we have Marrakech, a small nation. It's crazy how they are able to be there between such great powers. We have Musasha. It's a sheikhdom ruled by Faraj Allah ibn Ali Khan. Let's go back to North Africa. We have Morocco, which is 1922, like this is the age where the Muslim world fell back at being great as they were in the previous 1,000 years. And this is also approximately where they were no match for the Christian powers because of colonization and inventions of weaponry and tactics. We have Algiers, Tunis. That doesn't mean that they weren't still courageous fighters, they just didn't have the equipment to be strong enough against the Christian powers, because you can be courageous as you want if you have, for example, a sword against my musket. You can be courageous, but I only have to do this and it's over from a distance. So it doesn't matter how courageous you are. What matters is who wins eventually. We have Tunis, Tripoli. We got some shattered African nations. Yolof, Fulo, Segu, Timbuktu, Air, Funj, Ethiopia, Varsangli, Kilawa, Congo. Okay, so this is also Portuguese over here. And this is the Netherlands. Here we have Denmark. And here we also have Netherlands. South Africa was first colonized by the Netherlands, and the Dutch people there were called the Boers. So many years down the line, when the Netherlands is at war with England, England will take over South Africa and actually have a war against the Boers, and South Africa will then become an English colony. When we go to India in current day, Pakistan, we see Balochistan, but we see the Mughal Empire ruled by Aurangzeb, Alamgir, Timurid. And Timurid is actually a very famous and popular name because the Timurid Empire used to be over here, or kingdom, and it was ruled by the great Timur. As you can see, the Mughals were pretty strong with 129k troops, so they were the strongest Muslim empire to rule over India. The problem is, as I said, is that their military level and so weaponry and tactics weren't as great. You can see that England basically bought up or held lands over here. Same goes for Portugal. Let me see, what do we have more? The Netherlands. There you can see the Netherlands indeed. Actually, the Netherlands held all of, I think this island is called Sri Lanka, but please forgive me if I made a mistake. We got Denmark, we got France, England again. So, from here on out, the East India Company would ally and war against others. They would use smaller nations against, for example, the Mughal Empire. And as you can see, the Mughals have a problem in this timeline, and it's the Sikh rebels that are at war, I guess, for more autonomy, or I'm not sure for what, but they are actually at war with each other, and if I look at the map, I think they will eventually win, but I'm not sure. Here we got a trading cart with the horses going and the river flowing. Are they fighting in Delhi? No, it's not Delhi, it's Lahore. Delhi should be somewhere here. Wait, isn't Delhi? Yeah, here is Delhi, the current capital of India, and here is Bangladesh, which I think will eventually become Bangladesh and the capital of Pakistan. First time again that we see something resembling Tibet, and it's called Koshut. We got Taungo, which is pretty strong. We got Ayutthaya, Langzang. Here we have the Spanish Empire colonizing the Philippines. Let me see, is Australia colonized? No, not yet. So Australia is still fully free, and as you can see, they are not that developed, having still sticks to fight with. Their military level is 7 compared to the Europeans 22. So, of course, eventually no match for when they do come to colonize. Here we have the Netherlands, all colonized by the Dutch, and it's current day Indonesia. So the history with Indonesia and the Netherlands is extremely long and difficult, with the Moluccas and Indonesians and the Dutch, of course. And here we still have Brunei, Banjar, and some other independent nations still. We got the great emperor Yohan Ye Aisin Gyoro, the emperor of the empire king, and they are also of a smaller military power. They do have Korea as a vassal, but eventually also the king will fall because of different wars that will be started by the Europeans, and for example the 2 Opium Wars. We got Korea, which is ruled by a Duke Sun Yi, and of course we have the Tokugawa, which eventually will become Japan, but they are the shogun, or Tokugawa shogunate, ruled by Shogun Tsunoyoshi Tokugawa, who has no legal heir yet. They are not that strong, but they have all these vassals under them who would flock to their banner if needed for a war. Let's go to the New World and see why Spain was, in this time, still the greatest empire of the whole world. As we said, we have Spain here holding Italy and other parts of Europe. Portugal, as we know, has Brazil. This is the Portuguese Brazil. But Spain, as we saw, had lands in the Philippines, Europe, Africa, but all these colonies Spain, and then let me see if I can see a map mode where I can political, diplomatic. Let me see imperial, religious, culture, religion, diplomatic, truth, federation, great powers. I cannot find it 1, 2, 3 to see but basically everything in yellow over here falls under Spain. Spanish La Plata, Spanish Peru, New Granada. The Dutch have a colony here and the French a little bit. But this all was conquered and colonized by Spain all the way to New Spain. Also, over here, Isla Juana, which is, let me see here, this is Cuba. They had Florida, all of Mexico, and the minor nations over here. So that is the reason why Spain was such a formidable and great and rich power. So much gold that eventually it would become a problem of inflation. Then, when we zoom in, as we said, France had a large part of Canada colonized, which eventually will become under British rule, like the English in the next couple of 100 years, or in the next 100 years, will take over everything here. And what we can see here are the 13 colonies under the rule of England still. So this was before the American Independence War. They were also not yet that strong with 13k troops, but eventually from here on out they would continue colonizing, and the 13 colonies are what eventually will become the United States of America. I think, let me, Jamestown. Okay, so Jamestown was the capital, as I can see here. Maryland, Baltimore, James River, New York, and as far as my memory goes, New York used to be called New Amsterdam and was sold to the British for a small amount. So yeah, let's look at the family names. As you can see, the Bourbon. This is what the war was about, so that they don't become too strong. We got Romanov, Genghis, Aysin Gyoro, Safavid, Osmanoglu. Let me see if I can see trade goods. Actually, yeah, trade goods. Look at all the gold provinces in the New World. Over here, and over here especially. But look how many gold provinces, and they were immense wealth. All these gold provinces that were under the Spanish Empire. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Well, in Europe, if you look, there wasn't that many gold, like here and here. Like a couple of promises, but that's it. I know that Africa had a lot of gold promises. We got religion map mode. In Africa, they are still fetishists, so African religions Here they're all Catholic because of Spain, of course, and France. Because France and Spain were still Catholic. The 13 colonies are actually Protestant because of being an English colony. The Sunni religion, or Sunni Shia Islamic religion, is still strong, where it always was strong. The Orthodox religion is actually spread out all the way over here, and we see the last remaining bits of the Tengri religion over here, here, and here. We got the Hindu religion, we got the Confucian. Here we have the Shinto religion. What is here? Here we have the Aljaringa religion. When we look at the development, China, current day China or King, is pretty developed. Some parts in India are developed, and here you can see that still Constantinople or Istanbul in modern day is developed, but the rest isn't as much. Sweden is not really developed here, but if you zoom out you can see that Europe was really starting to become a great powerhouse. In our modern day we will see that this here is all green, I guess. And yeah, China, of course. China was always a formidable empire, nation, whatever you want to call it. We got cultures. Well, basically everything here is now a Turkish culture. Well, a couple of 100 years ago, everything here was Greek culture. We got the Castilian, Leonese, Portuguese, Catalan. We got the Berber culture, Tunisian, French, Swedish, Danish, English, Irish, Inuit. Okay, so of course I always say it wasn't colonized yet, but as a commenter said in my previous videos, do not forget that even though it wasn't colonized as we know colonization by, let's say, Western or Muslim powers, there most of the time still were people, but they just weren't nations or anything like that. But probably everywhere on the world or in the world there were people before colonization or nations. Here we got Castilian, Portuguese. This is English. Yeah. The HRE, of course. And let's see, it is September, so here we have the great deserts, the great mountains. Like Persia is so easy to defend from because of all the mountains that they are surrounded by. There aren't a lot of entrances. Here we can see the great mountains and how low India is from current day China. So yeah, thanks for being with me again. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day and have a good life. Bye bye. Through this way, I would like to give a special thanks to Phil at Excelsior 7, Dominic Vane, Rob, Denise, Antox, Sam B, Sillard, Jacob, Noah Ross, and Oyun. Thank you. Have a good day and have a good life. Bye bye.